Okay, we got YouTube going on. We got participants. Hey, everybody. Just give us a second here. We're just doing a couple last minute little things to get ready for the night's stream here. We're going to allow a few more folks to come on. We're also streaming live to YouTube tonight. So it's going to be a really fun night. Thanks to everybody who's joining us. So just give us one more minute. If you need to go grab a drink or anything like that, get some supplies ready. We got a minute. We're going to go live in just about another minute. How you doing? You almost there?
Yeah, I'm just crunching ice, getting the ice ready.
Sweet. I think this is our first time live streaming to YouTube. So, or maybe second time. So this is kind of a new thing for us. We're figuring out tonight. So that's kind of exciting as well. Okay, I think we should do this. You want to go? Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, I'm just gonna hit record here. Stop recording. Oh, I guess it's already record. Oh no, there it is up in the top corner there. Oh, Sherry Ann's coming in. Okay, I'm gonna hit record here and we're going to start. All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm gonna pop around to the other table in just a moment. We got kind of a funny setup where I have to come over to the computer to type and look at the comments and then run back there over to where Laura is there. So just give me one moment here. I just got to change a couple settings and then we're going to get started. Okay, I can't turn off the waiting room. That's what I want to see. Anyways, all good. Okay. So this is super fun and exciting for us tonight. We tried to do our first live stream back in the spring. We just kind of made it up out of nowhere. And we basically sent out an invite and said, hey, come and have a coffee with us on a Saturday or Sunday morning. And we basically went for a walk, a foraging walk with you live online. A bunch of people showed up and it was a ton of fun. We got some good feedback. And then we thought, okay, well, let's do this again, but let's do it in an evening session. And we'll pick a topic that's a kind of a fun evening session, something that's actually a big passion of both Laura's and I's. And that's drink mixing. And making both herbal cocktails as well as mocktails and working with bitters for health. So why don't you maybe start by telling folks what we're actually going to get up to this evening?
Yeah, so we are going to be making 3 different drinks, 2 that have mocktail options and 1 very fancy traditional cocktail. And we're going to be making, all the drinks are going to be with ingredients that were in our summer cocktail box. And I actually see some names of people who I know I've shipped these boxes out to. So that's really great. So you'll be able to follow along if you want to, or after the fact, you can follow the recording and make some of these really fun drinks. And I'll be talking about like ingredients that if you don't have any of the ingredients or our products, I'll be talking about what things you could go pick in your garden or forage, and just some like basics of some different cocktails and fun mocktails, and like introduce some ideas of how you could make some of these things at home. So not necessary to have our products to follow along tonight.
Yeah, and be able to make all of these at home. But for those that do have them, you might as well pull them out and mix a drink up with us. We got one going already here as we were setting up. And I'm just going to give a quick little tour of the cocktail boxes. We still do have some for sale before Laura gets into our official lesson here. Cheers. If you got a drink, have a sip with me.
I don't have a drink yet because I haven't made one. Okay,
there you go.
I get one.
So we have 2 limited edition pieces in the cocktail box, which is kind of fun. So this is the first time Laura's ever had this one for sale before, but we have a rose tip sugar. So rose petals infused in sugar. She also has a blueberry spruce shrub. So it's spruce vinegar and blueberries infused into a shrub for making a drink. And then we have 2 of our bitters in there, the spiced maple, and then some fun little things for garnish, just to spice it up a little bit. These little birch themed straws and some fun little orange garnish. So all that's available at wildmuskoka.com. But I'm going to pass it over to Laura without further ado, and let's talk about making some super fun drinks tonight and jam about bitters a little bit too.
Yeah.
If people do want to ask questions, I'm going to do my best to kind of pop in and out of the comments. So yeah, I'll do that, and I'll feed questions to Laura if we need to.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, it's nice to see some people on here live, and I know a number of people are going to be coming on and just watching the recording after. So welcome. I'm looking forward to making some drinks with you. So my background is in foraging and in herbal medicine and connecting with nature. And I actually came around to kind of like craft cocktail, craft mixology, craft bartending after being an herbalist. And one thing that it really inspired me about the craft cocktail kind of like resurgence is how much deep herbal wisdom is infused in craft cocktail culture. Obviously, as humans, you know, we can have a mixed relationship with alcohol, but I think approaching consuming alcohol, like I'm the type of person, I don't really drink very much, even though I'm really excited and passionate about craft cocktails. I'm the kind of person who would rather enjoy one or two really well crafted, balanced, flavorful drinks and, you know, enjoy my night than to like, I'm not definitely not the kind of person who's like doing shots and drinking 12 rum and cokes. I've always been the kind of person just like took alcohol in moderation, and very much that has been infused into the type of drinks and the type of drink culture that I'm actually trying to create. I also think that really applying a lot of our herbal ingredients and herbal techniques, we can create really lovely mocktails, non-alcoholic drinks that are rich in flavor and colorful and aesthetically pleasing and have beautiful garnishes and are like complex and have these mature flavors, so that people who don't drink alcohol can feel like they have something that's really special, and at you know events feel like they're really included, because you know there's something really special for them, maybe on a menu. Times when I've been bartended for events, it's been really so nice when people come and they're like, oh, these drinks look so beautiful, but I don't drink alcohol. And I say, hey, no worries, I got you covered. And I put together, you know, a really beautiful, flavorful drink. And for the people that don't consume alcohol, they feel like they're included. They feel like they're special. And that's something that feels really important to me, so that everyone feels included. And so these are the types of drinks that I'm super passionate about. And so this is what I love to be able to share. And I'm really excited to share this with you all tonight. So we're going to make 3 different drinks. We're going to make a Campfire blueberry mojito. Again, all the drinks tonight do use Wild Muskoka products, but I'll talk about where we can like substitute things if you don't have these ingredients at home. We're gonna make a spiced rosed soda, and we're going to make a maple old fashioned. So 3 different classic drinks. We'll start with some simple. We'll also include some fun bartending techniques and you know tools and stuff as we move along. But I'm really excited to share just some super fun herbal techniques, and I'll infuse herbal wisdom and knowledge as we go along, and just really excited to share about some of these drinks tonight. So let's start with our Campfire blueberry mojito. So this drink we're going to make using very fancy glassware tonight is a standard mason jar, and I laugh as an herbalist and a homesteader and like a foodie. We always have mason jars around. Recently, some friends came over that are really into cocktails, and they thought it was like so quaint and like cute and also like trendy that I was using a mason jar for making like these exact cocktails, because they're used to like fancy glasses and you know they have the normal glassware at home. And they're not really into like canning or food preservation. I kind of laugh because I'm like, as an herbalist, I'm more likely to have mason jars as drinking glasses. So my herbalist friends, you can raise your hand, and if this is what you normally drink out for glasses. So we're going to start with a mason jar, and I'm going to add some ice. So I just have a bowl here with some ice. And one thing when I make cocktails, I don't skimp on ice. Some people only add like, 2 cubes or so, but actually, no, sorry, we're not starting with ice. I made a mistake off that. We're going to start with herbs because why not? We're herbalists. Mojito, we're starting with mint. So I picked some fresh mint from my garden. Actually, and the nice thing about this, this mint, I grew in a pot on my deck purposely for making mojitos. I have mint growing on my land, and there's mint that grows down wild in our wetlands. But having a pot of mint on your deck is a really accessible way to have a great herb for digestion, a great herb to just like make a really good after dinner tea, and also to make mojitos. So I'm putting a few of these mint leaves in the bottom of the glass so we can muddle them.
I wonder, can I just throw in two things?
Yeah.
Quick? I'm gonna just pop on. So first, I just wanted to mention to folks, if you didn't know, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a little chat spot there. So feel free to pop into the chat and say hello. And if you've got any questions throughout the night, let us know, and I'll feed them there. Oh, great. I see people commenting on the chat there. That's amazing. Quick request. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume that everyone even knows about where mint grows in the wild habitat. So do you want to chat maybe about where to find mint and even like the real basics of like mint ID?
Okay.
There's a couple great tricks with mint.
Perfect.
Little mint ecology would be great.
Mint ecology is great. So there is a variety of wild mint that grows in Ontario. It grows in wetlands. So you're going to find along the edges of lakes and rivers and wet spots. Mint is in a bigger mint family. So mint species plants you can find because they have a square stem. So when you actually run your fingers along the stem, it's square. And the leaves are opposite to each other. And so they kind of grow out of the stem the way that our arms grow out the leaves. And then if you actually, the leaves are a very simple leaf with some teeth along the edge. So, you know, no big lobes or anything. And it's going to be very aromatic and it's going to smell very strongly of mint. The other thing about mint is mint, wherever you plant mint, it tends to escape and live there forever. And there are dozens of different varieties of mint. Peppermint tends to have more of a rounded leaf, where spearmint, again, you can think of spear, has a sharp kind of tip on the end and very often sharp teeth. But peppermint, spearmint, any of the varieties of mint. You can even get a specific mojito mint. Richter's Herbs in Ontario is a really wonderful place to get plants from, and they have a dozen varieties of mint. And you can get all different types. And the thing about mint, it's actually really easy to grow in a pot. So if you don't have much gardening space, you can just grow mint in a little pot. And then what I do in the winter time is you can, because a pot will, if you let it freeze in our Canadian winters, where we are here in Muskoka, it won't come back. So what I'll just do is I often will just take it out of the pot and stick it in the ground somewhere, anywhere, just so that the roots aren't exposed. So at least the roots are underground, and then it'll overwinter. And then in the spring, I dig the plant back up and I redo my pot and I put it on the deck. And then I always have some mint super handy when I want to make drinks. So there's a little bit on mint. An incredible aromatic herb. If you're new to working with herbs, definitely mint should be one of the first ones that you should get to know. And then all the herbalists on here know that mint is like definitely one of our standard herbs, but not to be taken for granted because it's such a great herb. So mojito is a traditional Cuban drink made with rum and mint, and then there's often different variations. And we are going to be making a mojito here tonight. So we are going to muddle our mint in the bottom of the glass. Now, muddling literally means we're going to be breaking up the herbs in the bottom of the jar. We do this to actually start to break it down, to release some of those aromatic compounds. So this is a little muddler. If you don't have one, you can just use go through your kitchen utensils and find whatever kitchen utensil has like the widest base and just smash your mint in the bottom of the jar. So we're breaking it up for the oils. Perfect. And then I'm going to add, Chris, do you have any questions? I just run to the fridge. Any questions there you're seeing?
I don't see any coming up right now. Anyone got any questions? Throw them in the chat. Anyone mixing along with us tonight? Let us know if you're actually making a drink live with us as Laura grabs some stuff from the fridge there. Oh, you find it?
Yep.
Doesn't look like we got any questions yet.
That's okay. So I'm going to add.
Sherry Ann's got gin. We got something for the gin drinkers tonight?
Yeah. You can also,
we got something coming for you, Sherry Ann.
The beauty of cocktail making is that you can also just take standard drinks and swap the spirits or swap the ingredients. And so this can be a gin mojito, no problem. So I'm going to add a bunch of ice. for my glass. And now we're going to add our different ingredients. So we're going to use, so traditionally a mojito is done with white rum. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of white rum. If you want to make a bit of a lighter drink, you can, like in terms of like not as much alcohol, just do 1 ounce. And some friends that like drinks will add 2 ounces, but generally 1.5 ounces is considered a standard drink. So if you order at a restaurant, it's typically a 1.5 ounces. We're going to add a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Didn't have any fresh limes, but lime juice works just fine. We're going to add 3/4 of an ounce of our blueberry and spruce shrub. If you don't have our blueberry shrub, you can actually just add fresh or frozen blueberries to the bottom of the glass and muddle them with that mint. So that's one easy way to add the blueberry in. There. And then to make this our campfire blueberry mojito, we're going to be adding forest fire bitters. So I'm a big fan, I'm going to talk more about bitters, but I'm a big fan of adding bitters to any of my alcoholic drinks. Even like a traditional mojito doesn't call for bitters, but as I'm going to speak to in a little bit, the bitters really support our liver. And so anytime I'm having a drink with alcohol, I like to add bitters to support my liver. And I was coming up with this drink and just thinking about summertime. And just wanted to add, so I'm using our forest fire because it's this like smoky cedar bitters. It really reminds me, I make it even sitting around a campfire, and how I char the cedar. And so it was like, I like to add, adds a nice smoky, which actually blends really nicely with the blueberries. So I'm going to add a 1/2 dropper. And then that's the base of our drink. So I'm going to put the lid on and we'll give it a good shake. So now that we've given that a great shake, we can add soda water. So this is just from my soda stream. If you don't have a soda stream, you can just use any like bottled or canned bubbly water. We were actually even making these and I didn't have the lime, so I just used like a lime, like bubbly water. Lots of people have different like flavors of canned, like these bubbly drinks. So they're fun to play with different flavors in your cocktails. So top this up. And then if you got the cocktail box, you got these really cute birch patterned paper straws. So we're going to add that, but we also have to add some beautiful fresh herb garnish. So I have some blueberries that I'm going to add as my garnish. They're even frozen blueberries, so they'll like add to the flavor of my drink. And let's see, what herbs do I want to add? So, well, of course I want to add some fresh sprigs of mint. Because and then even the better way, if we want to really bring out the aromatics of that mint, as we're putting it on the drink, we can like slap it. There's this whole bartending thing around slapping your mint, your herbs. Wow, I slapped that and I got like this puff of smell. I wish Zoom had smell. So we're gonna put that in. So herb garnishes are not just about the visual. It's like there's the aromatics that you get. And so I also have this, I thought because it's purple and it'll go really nice with this drink. This is a beautiful Anise Hyssop, also in the mint family with that square stem and opposite leaves. It has this really amazing smell. So I'm gonna slap that a little bit and then put that into my drink. And so for me, a really good cocktail isn't just about the flavor of it. It's about the presentation. And, you know, so many other bartenders told me that around like a well-crafted drink should have like, you're experiencing it before you even taste it. So you're taking in the beautiful color. And so this drink, let me get from that white background. It's like this beautiful purple color. And I can see green and the nice crisp ice floating around. And I can smell this incredible mint and this anise flavor coming through. Nice. And so it's got that real true blueberry flavor, not overly sweet. Just like really tastes like summer. I can taste a little bit of those smoky hints. So good. So that's a super fun first drink. So that's our Campfire blueberry mojito. So that's our first drink of the night. So yeah, so if you don't, so again, standard mojito, mint and lime and the rum, same kind of techniques, but we just added the blueberries. So if you don't have a blueberry shrub, feel free to add some muddled blueberries in there. Play with the different garnishes, you know, go out in the wild or go out in your garden. Just remember, if you're picking herbs or flowers for doing garnishing, make sure that you're getting them not from a florist, because in the floral industry, they can use different like fungicides and herbicides that are not suitable for human consumption. So if you're going to get your herbs, if you're not picking them from a garden, organic garden, or your yard or the wild, making sure that you're getting them from a place that at least is producing herbs or flowers for food consumption. So Chris, would you like this drink?
I won't turn that one down. It makes me think a few years ago when Laura first started really getting into cocktails. This is, I mean, relatively new. I'd say within the last like kind of like 8 years that you've really started diving into this realm. We were never big cocktail drinkers, and you know, we were never big drinkers in general, or at least not in our adult life. Maybe in our college days, those feel like ages ago. But we started talking about this one night with a couple of friends about this idea of like reimagining cocktail culture to actually be something that's healthier. We came up with the saying, drink to remember, not to forget. And when that just popped back in my head, I haven't thought about for a while, but when you're talking about it, like it being a full sensory experience, you know, if you take your time, it's like the slow food movement, you know, when you slow down and you really craft something beautiful, it can have alcohol or not have alcohol. But the whole sensory experience is just, it brings so much to what you have. And then it's not just a drink, it's actually an experience. And I think, you know, can even feel healing, you know, at the end of a stressful day, to sit down and have a really well-crafted cocktail and just have one and just kind of brush off the dust of the day. Like it really does feel like good medicine to me. So,
and this is a cocktail, but just to say, I forgot to mention that this very easily could be a mocktail if we had omitted the rum. It's definitely still really flavorful without the rum. The reason I actually use white rum is because it kind of like vodka, it doesn't have a strong flavor. So without the rum, it still tastes really rich and has a lot of flavor. And also there's like some really interesting non-alcoholic spirits from like companies like Seedlip and stuff. And you can, I've definitely done kind of this mojito style drink using those non-alcoholic spirits before too.
Yeah. The other one I want to mention, if you're entertaining guests and you're actually putting in things like, you know, the hyssop and the mint and stuff like that, then there's a conversation there as well. So not only do you have this sensory experience to indulge in, you also have a conversation piece for the party. So that's just kind of a neat way to think about it.
Let's move on to our next drink. So the next one we're going to do is just this really simple spiced rose soda. So this we're going to do is a non-alcoholic drink. And this drink is going to feature our rose petal sugar. And this is where I'm going to teach people how to do a sugar rim. So it's basically just a soda with our spice maple bitters and a sugar rim. So the summer cocktail box includes this rose petal sugar. I also make a spruce tip sugar, and you can easily make any type of floral aromatic sugars with local herbs. So what I did is I basically combined equal parts fresh rose petals with organic cane sugar, and I ground them up, dehydrated them in a dehydrator. If you leave them out just in the air, it will kind of turn into a syrup. So this is one of the times where having a dehydrator is helpful. But I've done this before, like with dried lavender that I rehydrated and mixed with sugar. I do it with the spruce tips every year. There's all different ways that you can make these like infused sugars. And they're really fun for desserts and baking, but I really love them as cocktail rimmers. So what I do, so
I want to show people, I don't know if you can get the color of that, but like, that's phenomenal.
It's
like
pink. It looks like pink rose quartz. It looks like I ground up rose
it
quartz.
totally looks like ground up rose quartz.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have people that are really into crystals, you can just tell them it's ground rose quartz. It's pretty cute. So we're gonna make a fun rimmed glass. So typically, so to rim a glass, you can take a glass and then you can just put water around the edge, but I really like to use some citrus. So I just have this orange. You can use a lime wedge or lemon, whatever you have. I just had an orange. So I'm just gonna basically wet the edge of the glass with the orange just to make the edge of the glass sticky. And now this one I'm doing all the way around. There's also times where I'll like only do one half of the glass, or like, really have, like, there's all different artistic ways that you can do this to mix up your presentation. And the other, like to say, you can do savory rims as well. Like a Caesar with the salt rim is your classic rim. But people often don't do it as much with sweet drinks. So once the rim has been coated in orange, I have the sugar in this kind of dish that I can fit the glass into. And I'm basically just dipping that rim in the rose sugar. So now the glass has this incredible rose quartz looking rim. So now we're going to build our drink from there. Okay, so we got our glass. We'll add some ice. And then we're going to add a full dropper of our spiced maple bitters. So our spiced maple bitters is made with sarsaparilla and cardamom. So it has these almost like root beery notes to it. And so, but it's also a bitter. And so this is a really incredible drink, not just on its own to enjoy, but this is also a really wonderful after dinner drink because bitters support our digestion as well as supporting our liver. So our bodies are really attuned to working with bitters. So bitters, I mean, this could be a super long class just on bitters, but the short of it is we have receptor sites all through our body that are actually attuned to that bitter flavor. So everything, when you take bitters into your mouth, one of the first things that can happen is you can actually start to salivate more. And so as those bitters move through our system, what they do is they, instead of supplementing things that our bodies may be missing, is they actually stimulate our body's own natural processes. And they stimulate our body's natural digestive and detoxification processes. So when we add bitters to cocktails, they actually allow our liver to produce more of the breakdown enzymes that we need in order to process the alcohol. Hence why they're really important to include in our cocktails, because then we better process the alcohol that we know is hard on our bodies. But they also do support all of our digestive processes. So things like they make sure that the stomach creates the right amount of acid so that we break down food better. They tone the valves at the top and bottom of our stomach. And what that means is that if you tone those valves at the top and bottom, the one at the top can prevent acid reflux. The one at the bottom means we actually keep food in our belly for longer. And that sounds a little strange, but what that means is that you feel fuller quicker. So for people that are trying to reduce the amount that they're eating, that can be a way that you just feel saturated, you feel satiated. The other thing is that when food is in the stomach for longer, it has more of a chance to be broken down so that when it moves into the small intestine, it's better digested and it's much easier for the whole rest of the digestive system to be able to process that food. again, it's part of that premise of like slowing down, chewing your food more. Bitters can just, they're also acting to make sure that food breaks down our system. And then again, as those bitter constituents move through our body, they make sure our liver and our gallbladder are, functioning well and producing all those breakdown enzymes that we need so that our body is better able to just process the challenging foods or drinks that we're offering it. So this beautiful spiced maple and rose sugar cocktail is one that I'll actually have to have after a really big heavy meal, because the cardamom as well as the bitters, the cardamom works as what we call a carminative. It works really good at just like settling the belly after a really big heavy meal. So we have our bitters and ice, and then I'm just topping with soda. So super simple drink. I mean, there isn't to say you couldn't add a little bit of gin to this one. We've actually had a really beautiful honey gin that was locally made here in Ontario we've used before, but this drink just on its own is incredible. But along with that rose petal sugar rim, I love to garnish with flowers. So one flower that's blooming incredibly in my garden and in the wild spaces around our property right now is this. Chris, do you want to hold that closer to the camera? Another mint family plant. This is wild bergamot. It's a bee balm. It's native wild bee balm. It has these, it's like as if you took a mint plant and mixed it with oregano and added like part unicorn or something. It's the most incredible aromatic plant. These beautiful pink flowers. So I love to add these pink flowers to the drink because they also bring out those beautiful pinks that are in the sugar. So you can add these, and again, they're going to add to the incredible aromatic qualities of when you sip on this drink. So we'll add some of those. I'm also going to add, I'm going to pull some of these purple Anise Hyssop flowers that I used in that last drink and just break up the flowers and add them on top. And then I also have this is the garden bee balm. It's a red one. And we're really featuring these beautiful mint family plants tonight that are just going off in the gardens right now. And let's add some of these gorgeous red flowers to that drink. So it's just so beautiful.
I gotta give them a close up of the drink.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give a drink close up to this drink.
Look at this. This is a piece of art right here. I don't know if I can turn it too far on its side so you can see the top without me spilling it, but hopefully you get the idea there. You ready for a sip? Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's where the magic is. So with the rose petal sugar, so it's just the bitters and soda, super simple drink, but with the rose petal sugar, when you drink the edge now, people have a question.
Can you remind us what you added to get the link in the sugar, please? The pink in the sugar.
Pink rose petals. So it's just equal parts rose petals, organic cane sugar. So I went and found the pinkest rose petals I could find. That like the wild roses that just grow and that people also plant everywhere. Like I guarantee like your local library or municipal office, like they plant these shrub roses everywhere. So it was June when these were blooming. Equal parts rose petals and cane sugar. Ground them in, I have like a commercial grinder, but you could use like a coffee grinder. That's what I've used before. And then I dehydrate it. And that's how you get that incredible pink.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as you move your way around the drink, you just you get the incredible bitters and soda, and then you can just basically you lick off the rose petal sugar as you move your way around.
We do also have if you don't want to make your own, we do have the rose petal sugar for sale on its own right now. We don't make this year round, so it's just a limited edition one right now, a small batch, but if you're interested, we have it.
So good.
Yeah, I kind of want to trade you. My stomach's actually a little bit. Can we swap?
Yep.
You can have the alcoholic one.
He's got a bit of an upset belly, so we're going to give him the cardamom soda and I'll drink the blueberry mojito. Okay, perfect.
Any other questions for Laura before we move on?
Before we move on to our last drink. Little bartender, you gotta clean the bar.
Oh, and you're very
Keep it
welcome,
nice.
Brenda. Laura comes up with all kinds of fun stuff. Any other questions before we move on to the last drink for the night, folks? Going once, going twice.
All right.
All right. Back at you, though. Oh, this
Okay.
is so good.
So last drink we're gonna do tonight.
There, I can hold it on the side a little more now.
It's super fun. Flowers, again, and remembering that you're not using flowers that you get from the florist shop. You got to use flowers that are growing in local gardens. Because okay. I put all my ingredients on the tray, so I was really organized tonight. So the last drink that we're gonna do tonight is an old fashioned. So I'm gonna pull out all the cocktail tools. We're gonna make a very classic drink. So for people that are kind of interested in doing the craft cocktail thing, we're going to cover some of those traditional techniques. And an old fashioned, I mean, its name even implies this is a very traditional cocktail. So an old fashioned there's many variations on it. And as an herbalist cocktail, like as a craft person, I'm always trying to think about what are the ways that I can change a drink and add new things in. So an old fashioned is alcohol, so typically whiskey, bitters, and sugar. That's the traditional old fashioned. And a very kind of traditional way of doing an old fashioned is to actually use a sugar cube in the glass. But because we're in Muskoka, and again, me being more of an herbalist and a bit more into natural ingredients, we're going to do a maple syrup old fashioned. So it makes our Muskoka, we call it our Muskoka maple old fashioned. So we're going to use a local rye, maple syrup, good, super dark local maple syrup. We're using our forest fire bitters. So again, bringing back that nice woodsy, real Muskoka campfire feel. Felt good for the summertime. And then for people who got the actual cocktail box, you got the dried organic orange wheels. So we're going to use that. Traditional old fashioned is typically always garnished with either orange wheel or just a piece of orange peel. So that cedar and orange flavor combo always works really well together. And then as well, you would have gotten some dried cedar. I also, if you have cedar handy, which again, cedar grows everywhere, urban environments, wild environments, I'll show you guys a few fun ways that we can work with the fresh cedar to make our drink. So an old fashioned, one of the ways, the other drinks you saw, we just built the cocktail in the glass that we were working with, but an old fashioned, a traditional way is it's actually just done on ice. So when we serve the drink, it's called on the rocks. We're not adding mix. We're not adding soda water to dilute it down. This is a strong drink that you're typically sipping. So if we just built the drink over the ice, it would actually, the ingredients are all warm. And so it would actually melt the ice really quickly. And so a proper way, the kind of traditional way to make an old fashioned is using a mixing glass. So I have this beautiful mixing glass. Again, if you don't have a mixing glass, you can just use a kitchen beaker, measuring cup, just something to do this in, because we want to basically mix, chill, combine all of our ingredients before we build the drink in our finished glass. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill it like half full, a few scoops of ice, because this is what's going to chill all of our ingredients down. And so old fashions are typically a strong drink. So where 1.5 ounces of alcohol is a standard cocktail, an old fashioned is 2 ounces. So they're a strong drink. They're for the real kind of whiskey lovers in your family, or your household, or your friends. Okay, so 2 ounces of whiskey, whatever your choice is. Again, and all people, you can vary this. You can use bourbon, you can use And all of their different types of spirits too, you can really play around. But typically an old fashioned is done with like some sort of dark spirit. Then we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of maple syrup. And then I'm going to add a dropper, well, 1/2 dropper to start. And then you'll see I am adding a full dropper, but the other 1/2 dropper I'm going to add later on. So now that I have those ingredients in the mixing glass, I have this nice long spoon. Again, rummage through your kitchen, find something that'll work. And we're just combining. And what this is doing, this is mixing that maple syrup and the rye, getting it, nicely combined. It is like, as these ingredients that were room temperature hit the ice, they are melting the ice a bit. You are getting like a bit of water into the drink. And it's just combining everything really nicely and chilling it right down. Like I can already feel the glass is getting cool. So for our glass, we can prep this now. So cedar is really high in like incredible aromatic compounds. So we want to add this and layer in these incredible cedar notes into the drink. So kind of like we did with the mint earlier on, I'm going to slap my cedar, get my aromatic compounds. If you have the dried cedar, you could even just kind of rub the dried cedar, and we're going to rub the glass with the cedar. I can smell cedar oil in the glass. Rub it along the edge. Wow, it's so aromatic. And then we're going to add some fresh ice to our glass. Too, if you have like at home, we have these fun like ice spheres. So typically in old fashioned, the bigger the chunk of the ice is, the slower it will melt. But big chunks of regular ice works well. I just wouldn't use like a crushed ice. And then this mixing glass has like a strainer. Again, if you're using kitchen ingredients, just whatever you can, just because what we're doing now is we're straining out the drink from the ice. So we're pouring that over. And then we can add our dried orange wheel to the glass. Kind of like to tuck it off to the side. And then I'll add a nice little sprig of our cedar. And that is a beautiful presentation. Maybe Chris, you want to take that over? And
this is one of my absolute favorite cocktails right here. Oh yeah, look at that.
So it's like cedary and a little smoky and maple, and then being a strong cocktail, this is the kind of drink that you just sip on. So it's very nice beside a campfire, beside the wood stove. For some reason, I always have this strong association of sipping on this drink next to a fire. There's just something about an old fashioned next to a fire that I just love.
So Linda asked again, do you preserve them for, do you preserve them for remainder? I wonder if megapixels to freeze or dry certain garnishes like cedar, like I do with service berries, or dehydrating fruits to candy them. My winter cocktails aren't as beautiful as the summer and spring ones. Okay, yeah, I think she's asking about preserving some of the ingredients. And how that works.
Yeah. So, I mean, for example, so these orange wheels were dehydrated so that I could send them out in the package. So absolutely, you can dry, like I have used dried herbs as garnish before. Again, not as aromatic. That's where though the bitters come in. So if you start making different tincture extracts of those really aromatic herbs, you can preserve some of those aromatic compounds. And then the infused sugars. The infused sugar is one of the reasons like it's used so often is because it is a really, like, sugar in itself is a really good preservative. And that's why it's used in so many things. So yeah, so in the wintertime, I'm using my infused sugars. Those some things like in the winter, cedar is always available, pine is always available. Like there are, you know, you can get some fresh herbs from the grocery store. I mean, obviously we always love to use what we have, but I really do lean on a lot of the conifers for like this maple old fashioned is a standard winter drink for us because those conifers are available through the winter. And I can utilize them then. So
I was
you
gonna say the cedar flavor is also preserved in the bitters itself, right?
yeah,
Because for the forest fire bitters, Laura, we basically harvest the fresh green cedar and then Laura chars them in the fire.
Yeah.
And then they're infused inside of here. So that's actually, bitters are a way of preservation for those tastes and compounds as well.
yeah, and some of the flowers and herbs, like I will also do, you can do quick infusions into alcohol. So it's not like quite like making a medicinal tincture, but I've taken, say, Thai basil before and put it in, like taken a mason jar, let's say, and filled it half with loose packed Thai basil flowers because I needed to deflower my Thai basil so it would keep growing nice. And then covered it with gin and then let it sit for just like 24 hours and then take the flowers out. And it's not a medicinal tincture like you'd think about all of our other kind of medicinal extracts, but in just 24 hours, the alcohol will absorb just the like aromatic compounds. So that is a way that I've actually taken like some of my summer floral, you know, those herbs that I want to enjoy the flavor of in drinks maybe later on. And then just kind of done like, yeah, these quick extracts that are really good at preserving, you know, those aromatic compounds that don't preserve well when you dry them. Yeah.
Here's an important question someone just put up. If you don't have an ingredient such as cedar, lemon, etc., have you ever considered pure essential oil as a substitute?
I don't use essential oils internally. I know that there's different schools of thought on the process, but when I was doing my herbal training, we had a section with an aromatherapist, like trained aromatherapist. We talked a lot about essential oils. They're so concentrated. And a lot of times the reasons people use essential oils is, so like to get like a drop of cedar essential oil, it would probably be like, you know, an entire branch of cedar to get, say, one or two drops of cedar oil. I would never put an entire branch of cedar in my drink. It would just be too strong, too powerful. So the reasons that essential oils are so useful and potent is because they're so strong and they're so antimicrobial. So putting them in like drinks, I actually really worry that I'm gonna take too much. And so like one drop of lemon is like the equivalent of like dozens of lemon peel. And so, yeah, I feel like there may be like for personally, I was always taught not to use them internally, except under I'm basically under medical supervision because they are to be considered like a strong medicine. And so I don't treat them like food. So yeah, so I don't typically recommend using essential oils internally.
And does anyone have any more questions before we wrap up tonight? We've hit kind of our 45-minute mark, which is what we were shooting for. But we can definitely hang around. I mean, questions related to foraging, related to the drink we're making here, anything general to Wild Muskoka.
I got a cocktail now, so I'm not in a rush.
And I drank my bitters really quick. That was perfect.
Thank you everyone for coming out. It's super fun to share some of these techniques. Hopefully this left people like inspired and maybe thinking about how they can incorporate some different herbs into making some cocktails or mocktails. Yeah, it's just like something that's super fun and a really fun thing to, you know, I've even just to plant a seed, when I've been to potlucks before, I've actually come to a potluck with like a little like drinks station, and that was my potluck contribution, was like making drinks for everyone. So instead of maybe showing up at the potluck where there's like 25 salads, you could show up and make like a fun drink, or know that you can also like tweak some of these recipes so that you can make pictures of them. The mojitos is something that I have actually made in like a big pitcher with like a pour top. So you basically just, we call batching it up. So you add like, say 10 drinks worth into a big container, and then people can just like pour off and then add the soda. So know that for some of these drinks, there is ways that you can like easily feed a crowd, you know, serve a crowd. Think of this as like something different that you might be able to show up at like a party or potluck with. And know that these can also make just incredible drinks that everyone can enjoy, not just those who drink alcohol. Mm-hmm.
Let's for that one.
Mm-hmm.
This is my favorite. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess we'll wrap. It doesn't seem like there's any other questions there.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have mentioned on their website, if you go to the blog section under recipes, we actually, Laura and I kind of co-wrote a really nice article all on working with bitters and making cocktails as well as mocktails or non-alcoholic drinks. So if you want to dive into this topic a little bit more, if you go to the wildmuskoka.com, and then on the little menu bar there, go to the recipes section. We got a nice, nice one there for you.
You can totally dive into some of that that information around why bitters are off.
Just in case there's any. Nope, doesn't look like any more questions. So
thanks everyone for coming.
Good night, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.